long before modern Nigeria existed, before colonial borders carved African into pieces, there stood a kingdom feared, admired, and respected across West Africa. And that kingdom is the kingdom of Benin City. Hidden deep within the forests of present day southern Nigeria, Benin rose into power centuries before many European nations fully developed their own cities. At the center of this empire stood the Oba, a sacred ruler believed to carry divine authority. Benin was not an ordinary kingdom. Its location near major waterways and trade routes turned it into a center of enormous wealth. Traders moving through the region paid tributes and taxes to the kingdom, and those who controlled these routes controlled commerce itself. As Benin expanded, so did its military strength. Nearby territories were conquered or forced to pay tribute to the kingdom, and this helped Benin Kingdom to increase in influence across the region. But wealth alone did not make Benin City legendary. The kingdom became famous for something even more remarkable, and that was Benin's art. Their art was a masterpiece. They have master bronze casters, ivory carvers, experienced blacksmiths, and woodworkers. Many craftsmen traveled from different regions to work under royal patronage. Benin's creation decorated the palace of the Oba and documented the history of the kingdom itself. The famous Benin bronze were more than just decorations. They preserved ceremonials, victories, royal boundaries, royal traditions, and the daily life of the people. To foreign visitors, Benin City appeared almost unbelievable. Massive earthworks surrounded the kingdom, while roads stretched through the city. The royal palace displayed extraordinary craftsmanship and organization that astonished outsiders who arrived there. Then came the Europeans. At first, relationships between Benin and Europe or the Europeans was a very good relationship. The European leaders were largely peaceful, and the first Europeans that stepped in Benin City were the Portuguese. The Portuguese merchants arrived seeking trade, followed later by other European nations. Benin exchanged ivory, pepper, palm oil, and other goods for the return of firearms, metal products, and imported materials. So Benin exchanged all their natural resources for firearms and other metal products. Mm. The kingdom gained access to new technology and weapons, while Europeans gained access to valuable African resources. But over time, trade turned into ambition. By the late 19th century, the British Empire had begun tightening the grip across West Africa. One after another, African rulers resisted British influence, and everyone who resisted British influence were removed, defeated, or forced into unequivocal agreement, agreements. The Oba of Benin, Oba Ovarome, watched this development carefully. He saw neighboring rulers lose their independence to British and realized Benin could be next. Fearing foreign control, the Oba began restricting trade activities, especially the movement of palm oil traders through Benin City and through all Benin territory. The British were furious. For them, control of trade meant profits, and profits justified expansion. For them, control of trade meant profits, and profits justified expansion. But directly attacking Benin without justification could create political problem back in Britain. So instead, they attempted a strategy they had used elsewhere across Africa, which is called treaties. In 1892, a British official named Henry Galway traveled to Benin carrying an agreement that would supposedly establish friendship and trade relations. In reality, the treaty heavily favored British interests and threatened Benin's sovereignty. The historians still debate whether the Oba fully understand or understood the true meaning of the documents because language barriers and political pressure complicated the negotiations. Reluctantly, the treaty was accepted, but the Oba never intended to surrender Benin's independence. He continued enforcing traditional taxes and tributes to anyone or any system trading or moving through its territory. The British claimed the decision of the Oba violated the treaty. Warnings soon followed. The British officials demanded that the Oba and his restrictions immediately be removed or face consequences. Tensions escalated. Then came the event that changed everything. In early 1897, the acting consul, General James Phillips, organized an expedition to Benin City. The journey was presented as diplomatic, but privately, Philip reportedly believed the treasures inside the royal palace could pay for the entire operation. There was one major problem. The expedition coincided with an important sacred festival, which outsiders were forbidden from meeting the Oba. Benin chiefs warned Philip consistently and repeatedly. They advised him to delay the visit. He ignored them, even after receiving additional warning not to proceed. Philip continued towards Benin City with his men. What happened next remain disputed to this day. Benin accounts claim the British provoked the confrontation. British accounts insisted the expedition was ambushed without cause. But the outcome was undeniable. On January 4th, 1897, Philip and most of his party were killed during a violent clash with Benin warriors. For Britain, this became the perfect excuse. News of the incident triggered outrage among British authorities, and within weeks, a full military invasion was ordered. It became known as the Benin Punitive Expedition. Its objectives were clear: destroy Benin City, capture the Oba, and seize the kingdom's wealth. In February 1897, thousands of heavily armed British troops advanced towards Benin. The defenders of the kingdom fought with every of their might and fought with machetes, spears, bows, and unmatched determination. But they were facing a modern imperial army equipped with superior firearms and explosives. The invasion quickly turned devastating. Entire settlements was burned. Civilians were caught in bombardments. Fire spread across the city as British force pushed deeper into Benin territory. Despite fierce resistance, the kingdom could not withstand the assault. Benin City eventually fell. What followed became one of the greatest acts of cultural theft in African history. British soldiers looted the royal palace, carried away thousands of bronze plaques, ivory carvings, sculptures, and sacred artifacts. These treasures, now known worldwide as the Benin bronze, the Benin bronze were transported to Europe and scattered across museums and private collections. Many remain outside Nigeria even till today. Yeah. As the city burned, Oba Ovureme escaped into the forests. The British force launched a massive search operation, destroying villages suspected of helping him. Yet, many of his people refused to betray him. For months, they protected their king. And eventually, after 6 months in hiding, the Oba surrendered. He was exiled to Calabar, far from his kingdom, where he later died in 1914. Several Benin chiefs were publicly executed, and for the first time in centuries, Benin existed under foreign rule. The ancient kingdom was absorbed into colonial southern Nigeria, becoming part of Britain's expanding empire. Decades later, Nigeria gained independence in 1960, but the story of Benin did not disappear. The legacy survived through the people, through tradition, and through the artwork that continue to spark global debates over ownership and restitution. Today, the Kingdom of Benin remains one of the greatest symbols of African civilization and resistance, and also their cultural achievements. And this story still echoes through history. Thank you for watching and follow us for more history of Nigeria. God bless Nigeria, and I hope very soon we will get to the heights that God has placed us. Thank you very much. If you have any comments, please drop it on the comment section and please like the video. God bless you.